people in our industry like get who we are rather than
Yeah,
the person that we portray ourselves to be, and they get the opportunity to see the other side of us.
100%. And I feel like when you are being authentic and you're not trying to behave like other people in this business,
Mm-hmm.
then you just attract clients who, want to spend time with you and
Oh
not
yeah.
spend time with somebody who's wired differently.
Welcome to the Maryland Real Estate Influencers Podcast, where we explore the ins and outs of the local real estate market. Join us as we chat with industry experts, uncovering tips, trends, and strategies to help you navigate Maryland's real estate landscape. Get ready to elevate your real estate game. Let's dive in. Good afternoon, y'all. This is another episode of Maryland Real Estate Influencers, and I'm your host, Jennifer Healy. Today we have an actual realtor and a broker, if I'm not mistaken, Wendy Slaughter. And Wendy has her own brokerage. And so, first of all, thank you, Wendy, for coming on today. And secondly, could you tell us a little bit more about you and your brokerage?
Sure. So I'm not the broker.
Oh, you're not.
Diana is the broker. And
Oh,
you've met Diana.
yes, I didn't realize she was
Yeah.
the broker, though.
Yeah. So she's the broker for our brokerage. She's awesome.
Okay.
As you know, she's a great resource. She's an attorney, which is really helpful in this business.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we're so grateful for her. She's very supportive. So a little bit about me and my business. I earned my license in 2006, which all of a sudden is a really long time ago. And it's weird, right? How fast the time goes.
Completely.
Started the team in 2009. Debbie Gottwalls was the first person. She and I met, and a friend of ours suggested that we meet. And we just, started working together. That was the beginning of the team in 2009. Some other milestones in 2017, we purchased our own commercial space just for the team. So, yeah, it was really great. And then in 2019, we started the brokerage. And the brokerage is Elevate Real Estate Brokerage.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
What sets your guys aside, your brokerage aside from others?
So it's really putting people before profits. And, the money comes if you do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So being less focused on the money and more focused on what do we have to offer and what does the client need from us? And maybe they're not really a client. Maybe they shouldn't move.
Mm-hmm.
So our team is in the top 1% for the state, and 89% of our business comes from referrals.
I love that you know that figure right off the top of your head.
Well, it's what I love the most. I mean, to me, it's the indicator, right? The most important indicator. Are we doing a great job? And the way we know that is how we're generating the business.
I love that. Oh my gosh, that is no. Can I ask what got you into this business?
Yeah, so I was in another role. I owned a marketing company, and my kids were young, and my husband and I were buying investment property. And it just made sense for one of us to get our license. So I raised my hand and said, I'll go get it. And that's how it all started. I wasn't planning on doing this for a living, but it unfolded that way. It's been great.
I love that. And I think I did know that about that you had the marketing in your background. And I think that just, if you've got that in your heart and you've got the heart to serve others, I think it's just a game changer.
It is. I feel like you're wired that way too.
Yeah, it is. And that's why I'm so glad that, we've talked about having a woman's networking group, because I think that that's so important nowadays. I find sometimes I just get in my own little world here and I don't step out of my world often enough to raise my head and say, hey, do you like this idea? Like, I really think it's good. Or maybe I just need a little some
Right.
to get the idea going. But you need those like-minded people that have that marketing background and that aren't afraid to take chances, because I'm okay looking stupid. I don't mind.
Right.
I want to just get out there and try it first now.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I want to get out there and do that. So I just appreciate when I found out about your marketing background.
Yeah. I think that energy is really important right now. It's just to experiment a little bit
Yes.
and do things that you haven't done before. And it is a lot more fun if you're doing it with fun, like-minded people.
Exactly.
For sure. Yeah.
Exactly. Because you just don't know what'll work, and you just want to make sure
Yep.
that you're reaching the masses, but at the same time being goofy, but not that goofy.
Right. Right.
Which is always my issue.
I don't think that's a problem. I think we need more of that.
Just if you would, I will send you a photo of me that you could make as your screensaver. So when I call you, this photo pops up.
Okay.
Photo we're doing, business headshots. It's the one of me laughing my tail off, and I'm just laughing so much. But when I think about myself, that's the picture of me that is generated.
I love it.
Funny that, and my friend Jocelyn Curtis, she's just like, this is your screensaver when you call me.
Yeah, right.
This is the picture I want to draw. She goes, and I love it when you call me and this picture pops up, because it's just the version of you I've known for 20 some years. And I just love that. So I hope that we all get that about us.
Yeah.
And people in our industry get who we are rather than the person that we portray ourselves to be, and they get the opportunity to see the other side of us.
100%. And I feel like when you are being authentic and you're not trying to behave like other people in this business, then you just attract clients who, want to spend time with you and not spend time with somebody who's wired differently.
Very true.
And that makes life a lot better.
So much better.
A lot better.
To find like-minded people that you're around. Going on vacation when I reached you this summer, and being there away with your husband and your daughter, I believe, when we spoke and you were down the beach. And then I know you subsequent had trips down for the weekend. And I love seeing you disconnect and get more time, and your husband, because he's in the business too. So both of you all being able to get out of the business and get time to reconnect with especially while the kids are young, because it's only going to be a hot minute before she's gone, and y'all going to be left with each other. So,
well, I actually have a daughter and a son, and they're 23. So they are gone, sort of. Some days I wish that they were still young. And I mean, there are a couple of agents on the team who have young kids, and their kids are back in school now. And we're having a lot of those conversations about, it feels really good to have a more consistent schedule for them, but it's also really bittersweet. And I definitely identify with that feeling of, wanting them to go back to school, but also not wanting time to move so fast.
Yes, it goes very fast. I can't believe that mine are 22 and 24 already.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
It really is. It feels weird not to have run to lacrosse and run to cheer and
same
anymore. And at the same time, feels great not to.
Yeah, I know. I know, it's weird. I know sometimes I'm crying about it, and other times I'm like, this is really nice.
It is.
Yeah.
It's weird to be on, because I feel like I had kids so young, and I feel like I'm still kind of young to have them gone.
Right. Yeah.
So I wanted to find out from you we're looking over the last 12 months of production, as we discussed, and I wanted to find out 89% of your business, you had mentioned, is coming from referrals. What are you doing to stay in contact with those past clients of yours?
That's such a good question. So the team creates an email newsletter. So we don't buy an email newsletter. We create it in-house every month. And that gets emailed out to everyone's database. But what we do differently here is that we keep everyone's database siloed. They don't get blended together.
Okay.
So let's say Debbie's newsletter is going out, Lauren's is going out, Rocky's is going out. Each one of those newsletters is customized to them with their picture, their contact information, and it comes from their email. We have a way to send it out that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so when people respond, they're responding to them, which I think is really important. I mean, people in their databases don't know who I am. It's not about me.
Right.
It's about them and their connection that they have with,
Mm-hmm.
whomever is in their database. So I think that's the first important thing. So we do that for the team. So automatically there's 12 touches a year that they don't have to think about.
Okay.
I'm thinking about what's coming up. So what's coming up for us, we do a lot of client and business connection and outreach during the last quarter. So we have a couple of events coming up and we promote those and invite our clients. We have the Blossoms of Hope fundraiser. We have Howard County Ignite, which is a really cool event. They're basically 5-minute TED Talks, which is it's so awesome. And that benefits conscious capitalism.
Mm.
So we have a trunk or treat coming up in October. We have a food drive. I know I'm not thinking of all of it because I just met with Tess, who is our team manager. I met with her this morning and we went over everything for fourth quarter. And then I felt like I needed to lay down. but I had committed to this, so I'm not laying down. It's a lot. We do a lot. So the email newsletter, events, I'm trying to categorize it. I mean, definitely one-on-one agents reach out to their clients. And not just their clients, people in their sphere and people they want to connect with. I think one of the things that we do differently is when we talk about, like, we don't really use the words prospecting or lead generation.
Okay.
We tend to stick to words like connection, people. Like, we don't say leads a lot, we say people. So it's a different vibe, I think, and it sets the tone for when you're approaching people. The other thing that we try to do is have this mentality of what do we have to offer? And, how can we leave people feeling better than they felt before they talked to us? So what else are we doing? Lots of really fun, like we do a Thanksgiving mailing. We always talk about, being thankful for the person who is receiving the card. We do a New Year's mailing. So that's it, really. Like, so it's a combination of things, right? It's groups, so it's events, it's direct mail, social media, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Media is, I have a love-hate relationship with it. Like,
Yes.
I'm on there and engaging with people who I really like. Some of them I adore. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
really like them. And then other times when I'm not acting like a creator and I'm acting like a consumer and scrolling, it's just so gross. It's
Yeah.
like the worst thing. So I set timers for
Oh, that's
those
great.
apps. I know I set timers for those apps, which is
Oh, I
great.
love that. That's wonderful. Now, do you have a business coach or a mentor that you work with or that your team
So
works with?
I have been coached. I'm not coached right now, but
Okay.
I got my start with Brian Buffini
Okay.
and back in 2006. So I would say probably for the first 3 years, I was in their monthly plan. And if agents are watching this, they'll know what that means. There was a
Mhm.
box that would come, and that's really how I started my business, was with Brian Buffini coaching. And then more recently, I worked with a Tom Ferry coach.
Mhm.
And that was very helpful for the year that I was engaged with the coach. I loved the coach. but most of my coaching has been outside of real estate. So most of my coaching is, executive leadership coaching, I guess. And some, there's a little woo-woo in there too. Like, just instead, I guess this is the best way that I can say it. For a long time, I was very externally focused. And by doing this other kind of coaching, I'm much more internally focused.
Ooh, I love that. That's very insightful.
It's a game changer, I would say, for business owners to work on ourselves. And so that like the lens that we have is changed, which then changes our experience with whatever we're working with out in the world. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's one of the questions that I was going to ask you is about mindset, because there's so much negativity in our industry and so much false information coming on the news, or sometimes it's not even false. It's just not the full truth.
Right.
And I like to ask people, like, what are you doing to keep your mindset on point? And most people are like, they're not listening to the news, they're not watching the news, and they're just digging into like more podcasts, and they're digging into the positive part of our business and the factual part of our business, all facets of what the facts are. And then they're choosing how they digest that information every day.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, so
I stopped watching the news about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I can't do it. It's for many reasons. It just does not work for me at all.
Yeah.
And
I don't mind the world news. I don't want to hear about the local news though. I don't mind the world news because, you need to know a little bit of what's going on, throughout all the different places and what's going on here. And then of course how it affects our business. But I can't get into the local one. It's just too much.
No, I get it.
So when you get up in the morning and you're starting your day, do you have like a daily success plan that you focus on every day? Does it start the night before as you're prepping to go to bed? How does it look when your feet hit the ground first thing in the morning?
I love this question. You must be learning so much by having these conversations. You get to dig in. And so what I love about these conversations is you do pick up really cool things that you can try.
Yes.
And I feel like, again, my life and everything has really changed over the past 4 to 6 years, I would say. And I do feel like being purposeful and living by design versus, being really reactive is a game changer. And I think this question hits on that for sure. Because before, 4 to 6 years ago, I would just wake up and see what happened. Right. I just wake up and like, okay, get coffee and see where this goes. Right. And now, and it's interesting that you asked, do you start the night before? Because I do. So one of the things I've been doing fairly recently is I stop eating at 7:00 and I don't eat again until 11 the next day. I do have coffee in the morning and I put MCT oil in it. So there's a little bit of fat in there. Drink a ton of water. I try to get at least 10 minutes of movement in the morning. That might be a 15-minute strength Peloton class, right? Just something to get me sweaty, out of breath. I mean, sometimes it's 45 minutes if I have time to get on the treadmill, whatever. But my minimum is like 10 to 15 minutes. That is a game changer. That I also read nonfiction, a little bit, spend time with my husband and the dog. So there's like this whole thing that's happening in the morning. I also have started doing a little bit of cold showers. So short, like not even a minute long, right? A minute is like the most I do. And it sounds like a lot. I used to hear people talk about this and I'm like, how do you have time for all these things? They're not long. They don't take a
No,
long time. It
you're
doesn't
right.
take, and you're really just swapping out old behaviors for new behaviors. That's
Exactly.
really what you're doing, right? It's still the same amount of time.
Oh, yes.
Telling you my energy level and my ability to focus has completely changed.
Oh,
And
yes.
here's the other thing that I do is I do that 3 or 4 times a week. I don't do it every day. You know, the weekends, I might not do it. So it's not, if somebody tells me you have to do this every day, I'm not going to do it at all. So I need
I
like a
get that.
little, you know what I mean? I need to be
Oh,
able to
yeah.
play a little bit.
I absolutely love that. And I don't know if it happened because I'm just getting older and I want my life to be more purposeful. But I would say I'm 48, I'll be 49 in a couple months. And I think that everything changed about 4 to 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've become simply more purposeful in my day, in scheduling my day and the things that I
Mhm.
do in my day, about my health. And I think that that definitely had to do with my age, with my health, had to do with so much. But
Yeah.
I'm finding that it moves off into all these different
It
lanes now.
does.
It's not just work driven.
Yep.
Then it starts with the health thing. Then it's become more conscious. Then it's the mindset. Then it's listening to enriching things in the morning. And and they say, this you are the average of the 5 people that you hang out with. Well, I don't know who
Right.
you hang out with in the morning, but my hangout with in the morning is Mel Robbins and Jay Shetty and Ed
Yeah.
Milet. And
Yeah.
so it's people that are actually pouring into me very
Yep.
positive, kind, thought-provoking, inspiring words. And these are the people that I want to help shape me as I'm getting older and moving on
Awesome.
in life. And so I'm really finding that too, and I'm so enjoying it. And it sounds like, a little bit cheeky to say, but it's the honest truth. I'm really enjoying this newest version of me.
Yeah,
Um,
I get that. I really get it.
Yes, I'm loving it. And I can't wait for everybody in their own time to find out
Yeah.
what works for them.
Right.
Because I think it's important. You've got to find what works for you too. I mean, we're all so different.
I agree. And I think that's why it might take 4 or 5 years.
Absolutely.
Because you're playing around with different ideas and yeah, I
And you
love
got to
it.
find out if you can really get behind it, or is it kind of like,
Right.
just something that you want to test out, or is it something that you're really behind?
Right.
And something that you're really becoming accustomed to, and you're growing your mind, and you're just pulling at the seams and just trying to evolve into the next version of you that you're supposed
Right.
to grow into. I don't want to be stagnant. I don't. That
Yeah.
happened one time in the last 5 years. I had a birthday and I was very unhappy about that birthday. And it was just that I didn't accomplish the things in that year that I had, because I didn't set out to the very specifically achieve any specific goals.
Yeah.
Thus, it made me unhappy about turning in a new year. I'm like, oh, I didn't do enough. I didn't
Yeah.
do enough to, really be of substance. And that's not who I want to be in this life. So then I'm like, what am I going to do this year? And how am I going to do that? Even if it's just doing stuff around the house,
I think
whatever it is, it all matters.
I think the key is that you had awareness
Yeah,
about that
most definitely. That's the
because
big
I
part.
that is the biggest thing is staying aware. And again, it goes back to like being internally focused versus externally focused.
Right.
Like, how are you really feeling about fill in the blank, whatever it is, right?
Right.
You could say my whole life, but then, dig in and ask, like, is this really working? And it reminds me of being coached. And especially when I was being coached inside the real estate box.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, for me, it was too rigid
Mm-hmm.
and there was a formula. Well, that's like you said, that's not going to work for everyone. I think one of the most important things I did in my business and in my personal life was look at every single thing that I could be doing. So let's say for lead generation, all write out the 50 things that you could do. Look at those things and figure out which ones you like to do.
Right.
Are they easy? Do you enjoy them? And do they provide meaning for yourself and, for the other person? And just do those.
That's it,
You
exactly.
don't need to be doing what everyone else is doing. It's
Right.
nice to know. I want to know what's working for other people.
Oh, sure.
And I'm happy for them.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
if they have figured out their recipe, right? Well, these 5 things I like to do, I'm good at, it's easy, and it provides meaning. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a return, whatever that return is. I'm happy for people when they figure that out. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I always did. I know when my children were younger, I did marketing, and the marketing I did reflected on the stage of life I was in. So I'd have like a breakfast
Yeah.
with Santa at the fire department that my sister
Yes.
was a firefighter in, because I had small kids. And so it made
Right.
sense to do that because it went
Yep.
with my life. At this stage in my life with adult kids, not really part of my daily routine is to have a
Right.
breakfast with Santa. So it really wouldn't, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just doesn't flow with my life at this time. And what
Yeah.
I found always made marketing easy is when you let it just develop into
Yeah.
part of your life, and how you work, how you speak. If somebody wants somebody that's very reformed in the way they speak, and
Right.
the language that they use, they definitely don't want to talk to a person like me that's more
No,
about
same.
slang and
Same.
just hanging out. And I'll probably say y'all
Yeah.
enough to drive anybody crazy. But we got to do what is comfortable for us at that
Yes.
time.
Yep. I agree.
So that's the important thing.
Yeah.
So I love that. So how do you stay on track throughout your day?
I have a plan for the day. But there are 15 of us and on the
Wow.
team, and they're, it's hard to it's hard to stick to the plan. So some days it's fine, but other days it just can't be that way.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, the old me would feel like, okay, you failed because you didn't, close your door and put a do not disturb, and you didn't, whatever. It's not who I am. I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little more fluid with the day when I need to be. And just because I had something blocked off to do between 10 and 11, and I couldn't do it because people needed me for something, I just do it later in the day. So I try to be, it's weird, right? Because discipline is very important.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite quotes or whatever is something like, discipline is the greatest form of self-love that you can have.
That's beautiful.
And it's true. I mean, when everybody was first talking about discipline, years ago in real estate, I'm like, please, I don't want to hear that word. Like, it's so rigid and like outside of my, language. But now I look at it in a different way. So
Mm-hmm.
I do appreciate the importance of being disciplined, but I also have an appreciation for being not judgmental with yourself when you can't be disciplined,
Yes.
Because it's the nature of the business. It's the nature of working with humans.
Right. Yeah. And so many people forget that when they look at that inwards, and they forget when they look outwards, they got to be having those same thoughts, that you're
Yeah.
still dealing with another individual who may have a good day or a bad day, or not maybe, chasing their tail that day
Right.
for whatever the reason is. And sometimes people forget to have that same interaction, that same grace that we give ourselves to give others.
Right. Yeah. It's so true.
So important. So I actually really love that. That's one of the things that I think you and I spoke about last time is the accountability. Like, I need it in such a huge portion of my day, because
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like I need to be accountable to somebody other than myself, because I just want to make sure it's all getting done. And
Yeah.
so over a period of, a week or a month, it's those kind of things where I feel as though I need more accountability.
Yeah.
Just I just run everything by, or did you get these done? Did you get that done? Did you get that
Right.
done? Or is it time to hire somebody to get this done and get that done? You know,
Yeah.
just
Right.
fresh eyes just to have that conversation with.
Yeah.
It's
I
really
think,
harder to have that conversation if they're not around.
I think you met with Nick Waldner, right?
Yes.
So my understanding of the way he runs his business
Mm-hmm.
is he has accountability built into the day
It
for
is.
everybody on the team. And
Yes.
I mean, his team, I really like him. And I really, I don't know. I think he's a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I look at that and how valuable that must be for, the people on his team to have that. So for me as a team leader and a business owner, what I love about having those meetings with people, whether it's a weekly meeting or quarterly, whatever someone needs, it helps me be accountable too.
Yeah.
I always use that meeting to tell that person what I'm going to do.
Exactly.
So,
So
yeah,
valuable.
it's
So
fun
valuable.
and it makes it fun.
It really does, because we're so often just in our own little islands getting our work done in the day. It's really nice. And then to meet with people that are inspiring, people that are out there,
Yeah.
nailing it out into left field and just doing a phenomenal
Yeah.
job. And you want more. I want
Yeah.
more of that connection with those people that are doing it on a really high level.
Yep.
I love that. I'm wondering, what kind of trends are you seeing in the marketplace today?
We're still seeing the same sellers market here in Howard County for sure. And if the condition of the property is great, I mean, condition is definitely the driver for the seller experience. If the condition of the property is great and the property is priced well, then, most of the sellers that we're working with are receiving multiple offers.
Okay.
So definitely still seeing that. I think most of us in our industry are very, very hopeful that rates come back down into the sixes. And, a couple of months ago, we were talking about, well, if they go into the fives, we're expecting XYZ to happen. Well, that's changed a little bit. And we're thinking that even if they get back into the sixes, that we will see some sellers feeling more comfortable selling their homes.
Mm-hmm.
And that should loosen up inventory for sure.
Absolutely. I think that's what needs to happen. I mean, I think that's what we're all waiting for to happen.
Yeah,
It's just for the inventory to be open just a smidge.
Yeah, I mean, the Federal Reserve needs to get their act together. Like, I'm so over it. So over. Like, I mean, when inflation was touching 2% and they're like, oh, what did they call it this time? Transitory.
Always
And
something. There's always another reason that they're not going to do it.
know. I'm like, what is going on? Never in the history of, our economic policy have we seen that. So that's a trend.
It's definitely a trend. And I think that there's other things that we the public don't know about, and I think that we're not supposed to know about.
Sure.
I'm feeling
well I know that. I mean, I mean, I hear Barry Habib in the background. Do you follow Barry Habib?
Him. Love him. Yeah.
So I hear about all of those things that we're not really talking about that much.
Oh yes. I just did if you check out, like, next time you allow yourself a Facebook review, check out my post on I'm sure your hubby has it too, on Barry's. One of his last conversations last week was how much equity every the average homeowner has, and then how much debt they have.
Yeah.
That conversation has to be had by all. We can't talk about the 2.99% interest rates anymore, and then not talk about the 33% credit card debt, or 33% interest you're paying on credit card debt. $96,000 in credit card debt is the average homeowner. Stop talking about the 2.9% rate. Let's talk about the accumulation of debt and the no savings that people have nowadays. That's the conversation we have to be having.
Yeah.
Sorry to go on that tangent.
No, it's true. I totally agree. I think you're right that things are, and I just so you know, I can see the time.
Okay.
I think there are other big important things happening behind that are not being talked about as much as they should be talked about, for sure. Yeah,
And we
I
have to
do.
bring that.
Yeah, we've been hyper focused on rates.
Mhm.
Yeah,
We gotta definitely do something about the debt.
yeah,
It's the only fair conversation. We gotta let the math do the math, as they
yeah,
say. Well, Wendy, thank you so very much for taking the time to speak with us today. And if
sure.
somebody's interested on talking to you about your team or
Yeah,
possibly joining your team, is there
yeah,
a way that they can contact with you?
yeah. I mean, they can email me. It's Wendy at thewendyslaughterteam.com.
Perfect.
They can call me. Yeah, whatever they want to do. They
Go
can
ahead, you can
text.
give out your number.
It's 410-440-5914.
Thank you so
Um,
much again for being on here. I'm so
thank
grateful for your
you.
time.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Absolutely. You have a great afternoon.
Thank you so much. You too. Take
Yes, ma'am.
care.
Bye. Thank you for joining the Maryland Real Estate Influencers podcast. We'd like to ask you 2 favors. Number 1, forward this podcast to 3 of your favorite realtor friends. They'll thank you for it, and I'll thank you for it too. Number 2, we'd love reviews. It helps get the word out.